I figured I'd turn on my video while I do my cigars here. It's great to have you here. It's Friday morning. Had quite the night last night. I was giving like amazing stuff in spirit, but that was God. That wasn't me. To my brother, to a couple of friends, to a guy I haven't seen in a while. His name is Mike. It's pretty neat what God gives through us. It's pretty neat. Oh yeah, I got my holiday coffee. Look, Timmy's. Look at that, holiday coffee. Woo-wee, an extra large double. So hang with me for a minute. I'll bring my talk here in a second, as soon as I'm done. Just gotta get my cigars out. But I thought I'd turn on my video while I did it. I could have done this prior to turning on the video, but I thought I'd turn on the video, you know, while I'm doing my cigars. That's nice. Just to have a chat with you guys. Wow. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Pretty crazy, man. Let's do it up. I'm going to talk about something today. The creations of God, like an element that is a creation of God that is so fabulous, so awesome. So awesome. Hard to get, right? People don't want to get it. You know, I've been blessed. Through all this chaos, I've been blessed with God's love. So that's why I share it. That's why I share it, because I've been blessed. So why not share it with others, right? What you've been given. I think it's very important to do so. All right. There we go. Got my smoke. Thank you for bearing with me for a minute. I had to do my cigars and now I have to have a drink. Okay, the creations of God surpass the inventions of man. Now the topic today is called water. Water. That's a creation of God, isn't it? Water. It's by Andrew McClarty, the guy who done this, Grace and Truth magazine. Andrew McClarty. I'm going to read this article. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full, wrote Solomon about 3,000 years ago. Wow. The sea is still not full, but more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, 72%, is covered by water. The chemical compound is essential to our life and the life of all other creatures. It is the most plentiful substance on the surface of the earth, other than air that we breathe. Nothing liquid on earth is more benign than water. The rain from heaven irrigates the crops, washes the sidewalks, and feeds the rivers. We wash in water. We cook our food in water. We describe our drinks as tea or coffee, but these are in fact mostly water. Look at this. Look at my coffee today. This is mostly water. Right here. Right. Water easily combines with many other fluids and is the bulk of milk and fruit juices. A large proportion of fruit and vegetables is water. Without water, we could not eat our food. Without water, all life on earth would die in a few days. Undersea, mountain ranges are hidden by vastness of oceans. Many islands are actually the peaks of these mountains, while other islands are the summit of undersea volcanoes. And around many of these, the heat of molten lava causes the sea to boil. The ceaseless ebb and flow of the tides gnaw at the rocks on the headlands round our coast, and unceasing twice daily attack. Okay, so that's the tides. Wave power. When driven by the power of the wind, water can be hugely destructive. Great waves smash against harbor walls. The cables that moor ships in harbor must be constantly adjusted, or the power of the rising tide would wrench the ropes from their bollards. Excuse my deal here with reading. That's okay. Tropical islands are often devastated by a combination of wind and water power that uproots trees and levels the landscape. Only recently we saw the destructive power of a tsunami. And you've seen that. You know what a tsunami can do. You've seen it in the tropics. A tidal wave that destroyed hundreds of coastal villages across a front of 5,000 miles, sweeping all before it in a huge eddy stretching from places that as far apart as Port Elizabeth on the South African coast to Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Indonesia. More than 2,000 lives were lost in the disaster caused by an undersea earthquake. That's the power of water right there. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in harnessing tidal power to drive machinery or generate electricity. The power of the tides can be relied on, whereas wind power can be most uncertain, particularly in summer months and in temperate climates. Only within the past few decades has mankind begun to explore the complexities of the oceans and the life that lives in them. Minute amoeba exist everywhere, even in places once thought impossible to contain life. In volcanic areas, vents in the ocean floor exude superhot steam and gases, and even there, these minute creatures exist and prosper. Yeah, I know. I know. I saw that show, man. I saw that on, what was it, National Geographic. They're called extremophiles. And honestly, they exist in the most hottest places under the earth, under the ocean, man. In the most heat. These are creatures that exist. That's an amazing thing. That's an amazing creation of God right there. Think about it. Tiny creatures such as pond skaters live on the surface of ponds, supported by the surface tension of the water. Sea plankton feed on minute creatures and are themselves food for others higher in the food chain. This is something I'm learning right now. I'm reading this and I'm gaining something out of it. Okay. Myriad species of fish. Myriad species of fish form steps in the food chain, some feeding on water-borne plants and some preying on other fish. The three states of water. Okay, that's what I'm going to read right here. Water is the most common example of the three states of matter, existing as solid, liquid, and gas, i.e. ice, water, and steam. The temperature difference between ice and steam has been divided into 100 equal steps or degrees, named after the founder Celsius. Okay, we go by Celsius here in Canada. I know you guys go by Fahrenheit in the States, but we go by Celsius. Water is found in all three states, in the sea and oceans around the earth. In precipitation, water evaporates from the ocean and rises to cloud level. In the polar regions, much water is frozen in the ice caps of the North and South Poles. The North Pole is located not on a continent or island, but where an immense ice pack extends over much of the Arctic Ocean. This ice pack varies in thickness from 5 to 30 feet, with an average of 10 feet. Wow. This is like, wow, this is like knowledge. Hard to contain knowledge. Hard to contain knowledge, man. Hard to contain knowledge. Polar ice floats, where the Arctic Ocean covers the North Polar region to a depth of more than 1,500 fathoms, 2,700 meters at the pole. This ice cap partially fragments in the summer months. Surprisingly, a relatively mild climate is found a long way inside the Arctic Circle, owing to the effect of the Gulf Stream, a current that flows from the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico in a wide sweep across North Atlantic to warm the west coast of Britain and Ireland, then Norway before entering the Arctic Ocean. As heat is lost, this current gradually moves toward the west and completes its almost circular pattern as it moves south between Iceland and the coast of Canada and America, bringing icebergs from the Atlantic region south as far as Labrador or further. One such iceberg caused the sinking of the liner Titanic in 1913. Okay, I'm going to finish this article later, right? This is so good. This is gold. This is gold, man. Actually, I can finish it now. The North Pole. At the North Pole, another characteristic of water is found. It has been pointed out that if the polar ice caps were to melt, this would result in an increase in sea levels around the ocean coast. But the North Polar ice cap is already floating, for waters assume a greater volume when frozen. If this were to melt, the sea level would not rise, but would remain the same. This does not apply to the South Polar ice cap, for much of it rests on land. All ocean water is constantly moving in response to various forces. At colder latitudes, water holds more salt, and this more dense water sinks to greater depths, displacing other water. This is powerful stuff. Gotta wait till I turn the page. Gravity also affects the movement of waters, and in equatorial regions, the heat of the sun causes current flow. Surface water flows in the direction of strong wind forces. No ocean is without current flow, caused by one or more of these forces. Most currents move slowly, and oceanographers estimate that some take more than 1,000 years to complete their course. Water is a chemical compound caused by the combining of two main elements, hydrogen and oxygen. It is in the well-known formula H2O. Got any H2O? I am parched. These elements exist abundantly in the higher atmosphere and sometimes combine to form rain or hail, to the great surprise of ground dwellers who saw no clouds. Because of the buoyancy of water, heavy loads can be transported with much less effort than on land. From the dawn of history, mankind has made crafts to transport himself and cargo across rivers and seas. Nowadays, huge ships carry thousands tons of cargo. Their great weight buoyed by waters of the seas and island waterways. Only air is more essential to our life than water. Without water, we would dehydrate and die. Without water, we would be unable to wash ourselves or to cook our food and wash up otherwise afterwards. When God wished to show his displeasure with his chosen people, he withheld the rains and caused a famine. When they returned to his favor, the life-giving rains returned. Rain is essential to our lives, and we thank our Heavenly Father that he causes his sun to rise on the wicked and the good, and makes it rain on the just and the unjust. Give thanks to our Father who makes you competent for a part of the allotment of the saints in light. He remains faithful. Only God can remain faithful on this. Like, this is just an example of an element that is so not even comprehended by people. The world is so in chaos, they cannot go down to the last little drop of water and appreciate it. Appreciate water. Appreciate water, because God gave it to you. Your body's made up of it, man. Your body's made up of water. So appreciate it. Appreciate the elements of God. And His giving gifts of love and grace. Okay, I love you all. Cheers with my Tim Hortons coffee. Look, I'll even turn it. Look, it's like a holiday thing. Look, Tim Hortons. I love you all. Take care. Have a good Friday. Like I said, you're more than welcome to get a hold of me anytime you like.